Aloha, friends and family. I was an NPC during different lifetimes in my past. I was at times a greater degree of an NPC than others. Again, NPC meaning non-player character. A human that refuses to be divine by connecting with the divine. A human that insists that it is separate from God and is in the ego fully. So they're not playing in the game of life or in the reality of life. So I call them non-playing characters. But how I feel about them needed to change because I came to the realization that I, myself, have been a non-playing character. So if I hate them, I'm hating myself when I was one. If I judge them, I'm judging myself because I was one. If I focus on and talk about all the things they do, then I could likewise focus upon and talk about all the things I did. And would this lead to reconciliation? Would this lead to love, unity, or light? So I see them as what they are, and that's what they've chosen to be. They've chosen to be non-player characters. So we see that. We acknowledge that. But we remain indifferent, just like God does. Because God knows they're on the journey to self-realization, whether it be in this life or the next or the next. So whatever they might be doing at this moment doesn't require me to make an opinion about it. Because again, wouldn't we be casting that opinion towards ourselves when we were NPCs? No denial anywhere. We're not talking about being in denial about anything. But again, we're also not talking about forming an opinion, entering into the emotional part of our makeup, and then sending out waves of energy that will come back, because everything sent out does come back. So we're not denying that they are destructive, self-destructive. We're not denying that they cause people hurt and pain. We're not blind to the fact that they can ravage and loot and burn and tear a bunch of stuff up, thus destroying their own infrastructure, making their own lives and others more difficult. We can see that they really are looking for a way out of God's world, because they don't want to be in God's world. They don't want to be unified with God. And so they subconsciously create ways out of this life. And because we have a corrupted system that seems to be well rooted, it has no love for them. And so it's happy to oblige their way out. Any opportunity that it gets. So it will create fake sicknesses and fake remedies and offer that to the NPCs as a way to hasten their exit. They could be healed at any moment of any of this stuff. They could be made whole at any moment if they chose to. They could, again, walk right out of the illusion, just like we are. We are in the process of walking out of the illusion and returning to Eden, returning to love, unity, and light. Which we know is in perfect accord with first cause. So it might be challenging, it might be very challenging to maintain that indifference when observing what NPCs do. Because most of what they do, is destructive. Most of what they do causes hurt and pain. But again, we were once NPCs, so it stands to reason that we ourselves caused the very same kinds of hurt and pain. And instead of God judging us, it would be very comforting to know that God was loving us and not judging us, and remained indifferent, knowing that we're all on the same path to self-realization and embodying the unity and housing the cosmic mind within our very selves, and transforming what was once a temporal NPC shell into a glorious eternal manifestation of the Creator. So we send, love and light out into this world to all the NPCs that still believe themselves to be in separation, and all the NPCs that are filled with hurt and pain, or they would not be acting the way that they act, filled with confusion, or they would not be trying to propagate confusion. NPCs that have become so diverse that they are seemingly separate from the Creator for the foreseeable future. Because they do not realize they are an individuation of the Creator, not an individual separate with its own thoughts, with its own opinions, with its own ways, with its own so-called lifestyles, with its own judgments, with its own flaws and inability. Because God's diversity exists within unity. And if we judge the NPCs as lost and unredeemable, do we not send out this thought form towards our former selves? And could not those thoughts cause our redemption to take longer. So we ask, what would we have wanted from others when we were an NPC? Maybe not when we were in the state of being an NPC, because we would have been too confused to know any of this. But after the fact, what would we have wanted? Would we have not have wanted love and mercy and great hope that even in the state of being an NPC that we could be redeemed, we could make the discovery, we could hear that word that changes everything, we could feel that heart impulse that completely changes our course. Who is it that said to love those that persecute you, or curse you, or judge you, or form opinions about you? And that measure of love that you send out returns, just the same as the measure of your opinions that you send out return. So our challenge truly is to remain indifferent. Observe it, acknowledge it in whatever way you need to, but don't become judgmental. Don't become opinionated. Don't send out the curses, because they will return. Because the NPCs are actually our former selves. Because again, have we not all been an NPC, either in this life or some other life? So by loving them, we are loving our former self, which hastened this day, which hastened this moment of understanding, which accelerated our embodiment of the cosmic mind and our oneness and union with the Creator. Now, as this Creator, how can we affect the greater world, the greater body, for the better? What should our thoughts be towards the NPCs? And in the future they shall say, we love him. We love him because he first loved us. And therein lies the total transformation. I leave you in the love and the light of the infinite Creator.